Good afternoon once again. My name is Dr. Eshieshi. I am presenting this day at the Flashes of Dynamic Men's Thought from the stable of Dynamic Salvation Dynamic Men Global of Salvation International Prayer Christian Church, SIPCC Global. Our topic for today is debt is like digging a hole. The more sand you collect, the deeper you go. The more sand you collect, the deeper you go. It says that is digging deeper one shovel at a time. You must ensure to look at it from the perspective of how do you balance your living when you find yourself in the midst of debt. So for this reason, you first and foremost look at what is actually debt. Debt in this case is a situation whereby the type where you are owing money somewhere and then there is a need, an obligation come on you to repay that money back with interest. That is actually what is called debt. You are owing and you need to pay back with interest. So for this reason, there is a need for you to actually look at the practicality of what makes debt possible in terms of servicing debt, so that you don't keep going deeper, because the more you want to collect, the more deeper you go in the debt portfolio. So for this reason, you have to look at it from the practical perspective of what you need to put into consideration when it comes to debt management. Number one, you have to create a realistic budget. A budget that you can be able to to track your expenses. That is what is called a realistic budget. You are able to track your expenses. The next thing you have to also look at, you build an emergency fund. Emergency fund that is for you to avoid credit liability. For you to avoid credit reliability. At all time, you ensure that you are able to build emergency fund where you can always at all time go to take a portion of it to service your debt. The next thing that you also need to look at is you have to prioritize high interest rate. Where have you collected money from that the interest rate is very, very high? So for this reason, you have to now see what to do to consider debt consolidation. Debt consolidation in this case is that there could be a system that will be able to accommodate the debt that you are owing in one system and another system and another system, make it three systems together. They can tell you we can buy over this debt and then you begin to service this debt in the same portfolio without having anything to do with other people. So what they do in this scenario is that they pay off those other people and then you have your debt to manage in one portfolio. So that is what that means. And then another thing that is also very necessary is for you to also look at what you can do to ensure that you are able to boost your income. Boosting your income in this scenario is that you don't just put your eggs in one basket. You look at it from the perspective of what else can I also do that can earn me small money. So you do side hustle. Side hustle in terms of maybe a part-time job that you can be doing alongside with the full-time job that you are doing, that can also be bringing more income to your table, which can also help you to service your debt. Another thing that you can also do is to ensure that you seek a professional debt counselor or a debt advisor who can actually advise you to say that this debt, this is the way you can go about it, this is the way you can go about it for you to be able to be free. So these are the things that you put into consideration. And for this reason, you now look at the approach to debt management. Number one there is debt consolidation. That is combining debt into a lower interest rate. A lower interest rate, it says that the company that is coming to buy over the debt, they will give you a lower interest rate so that you are able to navigate around the debt that you are owing. The next thing that you also consider is you create a realistic budget that will necessarily be able to take care of your expenses. So you are able to say, this is what I spent within a month, and for this reason, this is what I can use to service my debt. This is what I can use to take care of my family and other expenses. Then another thing that you must also put into consideration is that you negotiate. You have to negotiate with the creditors, that is the people that you are owing. Please, for this reason, I can no longer be able to continue with this increment of your rate that you are charging me per month or per weekly. So for this reason, I want a debt consolidation. So if you can be able to do this, that will actually bring out the pressure that you are going through in the process of time. And then emergency fund, that is building a fund network that will also allow you to avoid you falling to more debt, because when pressure comes from one angle and another, you want to go to another extra means to be able to get more money to service the other debt while you are creating more debt. So for this reason, you try to see how you can have a discussion with them. But there is a principle that can actually help you to navigate around your salary or your monthly income. That is, it is called the 50-30-20 ratio. The 50-30-20 ratio is a situation whereby your 50% of your earnings, you budget it for your necessity spendings. And aside your necessity spending, 30% go for your discretionary spending. And then after that, the remaining 20% that is remaining out of your income, you use it to do what is called debt servicing and the debt repayment. So if you can be able to use this principle, it will work. It go a long way to be able to align you for you to also have a rest while you are servicing your debt. So in this case, but you must identify what is called debt inventory, whereby you have to rate, you have to have a list of the debt that you are owing, you have the balances that you have not paid yet, and then the next thing, you have the rate that they are charging you, and then how do you now repay back. These are some of the things that you have to look at. And for this reason, you are able to now know how you channel your income. So in conclusion, debt is actually overwhelming when you look at it holistically, but when you approach it strategically, you discover that at the end of the day, you are able to pay up your debt, and then you become debt free. One of the major things that you must consider is that when you are in debt, you find it difficult to access what is called credit facility, because the pointer that is on one debt, that you are owing one debt somewhere, can also prevent you from accessing another credit facility from another source. This is exactly the way it works. So debt, you must identify, is not just physical, but for you to become free, for you to have freedom from debt, you must ensure that you are able to what? Look at it emotionally, look at it from the financial perspective, so that you can be free from it. This is exactly the way it works all over the world. So thank you so very much for listening, for tuning in to View Radio this day, for this discussion that we have had, that you can follow us on our social media platform for Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. It is SIPCC Global. And for our media partner, which is a View Radio, you can follow us on Facebook. It is at Facebook View Radio Media. While other platform, which is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, it is at View Radio. My name is Dr. Eshieshi. Until I come your way next time, thank you and bye for now.